The complete story of Proverbs, the hidden prophecy finally revealed. What if I told you that there is a hidden guide, an ancient source of wisdom that is right in front of us, yet most people ignore or underestimate it? Imagine a book that holds the answers to the most important questions in life. How should I live? Who can I trust? Where can I find true peace and purpose? This is not just another self-help book or a quick dose of temporary motivation. This is the Book of Proverbs, a sacred collection of truths written under divine inspiration, designed to reveal the secrets of a wise and fulfilled life. But Proverbs is not just a manual for you. It is a gift meant to be shared, a light in the midst of darkness, calling all of us back to the truth and strength that can only be found in God. The wisdom in this book is not outdated or irrelevant. It is alive, waiting to be discovered, and it has the power to transform the way you see the world. Before we move forward, let's take a moment to pray. Lord God, we thank you for your word, an inexhaustible source of wisdom. We ask that you open the eyes and hearts of everyone listening to this message so they may understand and receive the truths that come from you. May this journey through the Book of Proverbs bring discernment, clarity, and blessings to their lives. In the name of Jesus, amen. Today, we will dive deep into the Book of Proverbs and discover how its words can guide us in every decision, every challenge, and every moment of life. Now get ready, because wisdom is calling you. Let's begin with the first chapter of Proverbs, the Call of Wisdom, Proverbs chapter 1. The first chapter of Proverbs introduces the purpose of this book, to teach wisdom, discipline, and discernment. It warns about the dangers of foolishness and sin, showing that the fear of the Lord is the foundation of true wisdom. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. This book was written to instruct on life, justice, and prudence. Solomon, the wisest man of his time, shares valuable teachings for all generations, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. Wisdom is not just intellectual knowledge, but the ability to make just and correct decisions. God desires his people to live with discernment and purpose, to receive instruction in wise behavior, righteousness, justice, and fairness. Wisdom teaches us to live with integrity and justice. Those who seek wisdom learn to act correctly in all situations. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Without the fear of God, all knowledge is empty. Fools reject correction and suffer the consequences of their choices. My son, listen to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Wisdom begins at home. Parents have the responsibility to teach their children. Learning from elders protects us from many mistakes. They will be a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck. Obedience to instruction brings honor and protection. Those who value correction live a more balanced and secure life. My son, if sinners entice you, do not give in to them. Bad influences can lead us away from the path of righteousness. Sin often appears attractive, but its consequences are destructive. Their feet rush into evil. They are swift to shed blood. Those who follow the path of the wicked will end up reaping pain and destruction. These men lie in wait for their own blood. They ambush only themselves. The wicked eventually fall into their own traps. Injustice and evil always come at a cost. Such is the fate of all who are greedy for gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. Greed is a dangerous path that leads to ruin. True prosperity comes from honesty and just work. Out in the open, wisdom calls aloud. She raises her voice in the public square. God offers wisdom to everyone, but not all choose to listen. Wisdom is not hidden. It is available to those who seek to learn. How long will you, who are simple, love your simple ways? How long will mockers delight in mockery and fools hate knowledge? Rejecting wisdom leads to destruction. Fools ignore warnings and suffer the consequences. But since you refuse to listen when I call and no one pays attention when I stretch out my hand, those who despise wisdom will one day seek it, but it may be too late. Then they will call to me, but I will not answer. They will look for me, but will not find me. There is a time to learn and a time to reap the results of our choices. Ignoring correction can lead to a point of no return. They will eat the fruit of their ways and be filled with the fruit of their schemes. Each person will reap what they sow. Choosing foolishness brings pain and suffering, but whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease, without fear of harm. Those who listen to wisdom will live with security and peace. Trusting in God brings rest and deliverance. Wisdom teaches us to live with discernment and justice. The fear of the Lord is the foundation of true knowledge. Parental instruction is essential for a successful future. Bad company and greed lead to destruction. Wisdom is available, but many ignore it. Those who reject wisdom will suffer the consequences, but those who follow it will have peace. Are we seeking God's wisdom, or relying only on our own understanding? Are we listening to the right advice, or being influenced by the wrong people? Are we valuing the fear of the Lord as the foundation for our decisions? Are we living wisely, or ignoring the warnings of wisdom? But whoever listens to me will live in safety and be at ease, without fear of harm. We have learned that the choice between wisdom and foolishness determines our destiny. Now comes an important question. How can we apply God's wisdom in our daily decisions and avoid the paths of foolishness? The path of wisdom and God's protection. Proverbs chapter 2. The second chapter of Proverbs teaches us to seek wisdom diligently, showing that God protects those who walk in righteousness. It warns about the dangers of wickedness and the seduction of sin, making it clear that true security is found in following the Lord's ways. My son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, the pursuit of wisdom begins with a heart willing to learn. Keeping God's commandments makes us wise and protected. Turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding requires attention and effort. Hearing God's voice and applying what we learn is essential. If you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, you must seek wisdom with fervor and dedication. Prayer and studying the Word are key to this process. If you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, wisdom is more valuable than any material wealth. The effort to obtain it must exceed the desire for earthly possessions. Then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. True knowledge comes from Him, and fearing the Lord is the first step toward wisdom, for the Lord gives wisdom. From His mouth come knowledge and understanding. True wisdom does not come from the world but from God. He reveals knowledge to those who seek Him. He holds success in store for the upright and is a shield to those whose walk is blameless. God's wisdom protects those who walk in righteousness. He is a shield for those who live with integrity, for He guards the course of the just and protects the way of His faithful ones. God guides and sustains those who follow His ways. Justice and righteousness are rewarded with protection and direction. Then you will understand what is right and just and fair, every good path. Wisdom gives us discernment to act correctly. Whoever seeks God understands what is right and good. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. True wisdom transforms our hearts and brings us peace. Discretion will protect you, and understanding will guard you. Wisdom shields us from wrong choices and dangers. Discernment prevents us from falling into traps. Wisdom will save you from the ways of wicked men, from men whose words are perverse. It helps us recognize destructive people and paths. Many use flattering words to deceive and manipulate. They have left the straight paths to walk in dark ways. Those who reject God's wisdom end up walking in darkness. They delight in doing wrong and rejoice in the perverseness of evil. Some take pleasure in wickedness, and we must stay away from them. Their paths are crooked, and they are devious in their ways. The wicked always try to lead others away from the right path. It will save you also from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words. Sin often appears seductive and attractive. Flattery and sweet words can lead to destruction. She has left the partner of her youth and ignored the covenant she made before God. Spiritual and physical adultery are betrayals against God and the commitments we have made. Surely her house leads down to death, and her paths to the spirits of the dead. Sin leads to destruction and separation from God's presence. None who go to her return or attain the paths of life. Whoever gives in to sin strays from the path of life and communion with God. Thus you will walk in the ways of the good and keep to the paths of the righteous. Wisdom keeps us on the right path, alongside the just. For the upright will live in the land, and the blameless will remain in it. The righteous will be established and upheld by God. Faithfulness to God ensures a secure future, but the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the unfaithful will be torn from it. The wicked will not have a secure future because their choices separate them from God. Wisdom must be sought with dedication, for it is more valuable than any wealth. God protects and guides those who walk in righteousness and integrity. Wisdom delivers us from bad influences and the path of wickedness. Sin appears seductive, but it leads to destruction. Those who follow wisdom will be established, but the wicked will lose everything. Are we seeking God's wisdom with the same intensity as we seek wealth and success? Are we being careful to avoid bad influences and paths of destruction? Do we trust that God will protect us when we follow His principles? Are we walking in the path of the righteous or yielding to the seductions of sin? For the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth come knowledge and understanding. We have learned that true security and prosperity come from following the paths of wisdom and righteousness. The path of wisdom and God's protection. Proverbs chapter 3. The third chapter of Proverbs teaches us the importance of trusting in the Lord and following His ways with humility and obedience. It shows that wisdom brings blessings, protection, and long life, while foolishness leads to ruin. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart. Wisdom begins with obedience to God. Keeping the Lord's commandments brings lasting benefits. For they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Wisdom leads to a long and peaceful life. The path of righteousness spares us from unnecessary suffering. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Kindness and faithfulness should be part of our character. Those who act with integrity find favor before God and people. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Living with justice and kindness brings favor in God's eyes and among people. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. True wisdom is trusting in God, not just our own logic. Relying on God prevents us from falling into the traps of self-sufficiency. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. When we put God first, He guides us in the right direction. Divine wisdom always leads to the best path. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Arrogance hinders spiritual growth. The fear of the Lord protects us from paths of error. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Trusting in God brings not only spiritual peace, but also physical and emotional well-being. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Generosity is an act of worship to God. Honoring the Lord with our resources demonstrates gratitude and trust in Him. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. God blesses those who put Him first. Faithfulness in small things opens doors for abundance. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, and do not resent His rebuke. God's correction is not punishment, but an act of love. Those who learn from discipline grow in wisdom, because the Lord disciplines those He loves, as a father the son He delights in. God corrects us because He loves us. Discipline shapes us for a better life. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. Wisdom brings happiness and fulfillment. Those who seek understanding find true wealth, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. The value of wisdom surpasses any material wealth. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths are peace. Wisdom leads to a full and harmonious life. By wisdom the Lord laid the earth's foundations. By understanding he set the heavens in place. God's creation reflects his infinite wisdom. Those who seek him find true knowledge. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Trusting in God frees us from fear and anxiety. The peace of God gives us safe rest. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act. Generosity and justice should be part of our daily lives. If we have the opportunity to help, we must act immediately. Do not plot harm against your neighbor who lives trustfully near you. Trust is an essential value in relationships. Deceiving others brings destruction and suffering. The wise inherit honor, but fools get only shame. Wisdom leads to honor and recognition. Foolishness leads to disgrace and dishonor. Wisdom begins with obedience and the fear of the Lord. Trusting in God gives us direction and security. Generosity opens doors to prosperity. God's correction is proof of his love for us. Wisdom brings peace, happiness, and protection. Doing good and living with integrity leads to honor. Are we fully trusting in the Lord, or are we trying to handle everything on our own? Are we honoring God with our resources and actions? Do we accept God's correction as an act of love and growth? Are we living with wisdom, peace, and generosity? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. We have learned that a wise and just life brings peace, prosperity, and security. Now, a new question arises. How can we practically live out this trust in God and apply his wisdom in every decision we make? The path of wisdom and divine protection. Proverbs chapter 4. The fourth chapter of Proverbs teaches us the importance of seeking wisdom and staying on the right path. It shows that following God's teachings brings life and protection, while the ways of wickedness lead to destruction. Listen, my children, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. Wisdom is passed down from generation to generation. Learning from those with experience spares us from mistakes and suffering. I give you sound teaching. Do not abandon my instruction. God's teachings are the best guide for life. Following his word keeps us on the right path. When I was a son to my father, tender and cherished by my mother. Solomon reminds us that he also learned from his father, David. Wisdom is not acquired by chance, but cultivated through instruction. He taught me and said, "Hold on to my words with all your heart. Keep my commands and you will live." Keeping God's teachings is the secret to a long and fulfilling life. Obedience to divine wisdom spares us from many hardships. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Wisdom should be our priority in life. It gives us discernment to make the best decisions. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is like a shield against life's dangers. Those who value it find security and peace. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. Nothing is more important than knowing and following God's will. Understanding gives us clarity to distinguish right from wrong. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. Those who value wisdom will be honored and recognized. She will give you a garland to grace your head and present you with a glorious crown. Wisdom brings honor, recognition, and favor. Listen, my son, and accept my words, and the years of your life will be many. Obedience to wisdom brings longevity and quality of life. I instruct you in the way of wisdom and lead you along straight paths. God directs us to walk the right way, away from destruction. When you walk, your steps will not be hindered. When you run, you will not stumble. Wisdom keeps us from unnecessary obstacles and failures. Those who walk in righteousness have a secure path. Hold on to instruction. Do not let it go. Guard it well, for it is your life. Wisdom is a gift that must be preserved and treasured. Do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of evildoers. We must avoid the path of sin and injustice. Avoid it, do not travel on it, turn from it, and go on your way. It is not enough to resist evil. We must flee from it. For they cannot rest until they do evil. They are robbed of sleep till they make someone stumble. The wicked thrive on malice and constantly try to lead others astray. They eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Evil becomes the daily nourishment of the wicked, but their end is ruin. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. The way of the just is ever growing and illuminated by God's presence. But the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. The wicked live in darkness and fail to see their own downfall. My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Listening to God's word brings understanding and protection, for they are life to those who find them and health to one's whole body. God's wisdom brings life and healing to both soul and body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. The heart is the center of our decisions and emotions. If it is filled with God's wisdom, our lives will be fruitful. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Our words reflect the state of our hearts. We must speak with truth and integrity. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Keeping our focus on the right path helps us avoid distractions and pitfalls. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. Every step should be guided by wisdom and prudence. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. Walking in righteousness requires consistency and firmness. Wisdom is a treasure that must be sought and safeguarded. The path of the righteous is secure and illuminated by God's presence. The heart is the source of life and must be protected. Bad influences should be avoided at all costs. Following God's wisdom brings honor, protection, and direction. Are we valuing and seeking wisdom daily? Is our heart filled with God's word or with the influences of the world? Are we firmly walking in righteousness or drifting toward dangerous shortcuts? Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Wisdom and the danger of immorality. Proverbs Chapter 5. The 5th chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of faithfulness and purity, warning about the dangers of immorality and the consequences of sin. It shows that following God's principles brings life and protection, while giving in to the seduction of sin leads to destruction. My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Turn your ear to my understanding. Wisdom protects us from traps and wrong decisions. Listening to God's voice gives us discernment to choose the right path, that you may maintain discretion and your lips may preserve knowledge. Wisdom is not just meant to be heard, but to be practiced. Those who follow it find security and peace. For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. Sin presents itself as attractive and seductive. Immediate pleasure can hide destructive consequences, but in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. What seems sweet at first can become bitter in the end. The seduction of sin leads to pain and regret. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. The path of immorality leads to destruction and ruin. She gives no thought to the way of life. Her paths wander aimlessly, but she does not know it. Sin leads to confusion and loss of discernment. Those who follow immorality lose their sense of direction in life. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Do not turn aside from what I say. Wisdom calls us to stay alert and not fall into error. Keep to a path far from her. Do not go near the door of her house. The best way to avoid sin is to stay far from it. We should not expose ourselves to risky situations, lest you lose your honor to others and your dignity to one who is cruel. Immorality can cost dignity and the best years of life, lest strangers feast on your wealth and your toil enrich the house of another. Sin steals the fruits of our labor and leads to financial and emotional ruin. At the end of your life, you will groan when your flesh and body are spent. The consequence of sin is suffering and late regret. You will say, "How I hated discipline, how my heart spurned correction." Many only realize their mistakes when it is too late. I would not obey my teachers or turn my ear to my instructors. Rejecting wisdom and good counsel leads to destruction. Drink water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Satisfaction should be found in a legitimate relationship, not in infidelity. Marriage should be valued and protected. Let them be yours alone, never to be shared with strangers. Faithfulness is a personal and non-negotiable commitment. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. The marital relationship should be nurtured with love and joy. May her breasts satisfy you always. May you ever be intoxicated with her love. Love and attraction should be preserved within marriage. Why, my son, be intoxicated with another man's wife? Why embrace the bosom of a wayward woman? Adultery and betrayal bring serious and destructive consequences. For your ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all your paths. Nothing is hidden from God's eyes. He sees all our actions. The evil deeds of the wicked ensnare them. The cords of their sins hold them fast. Sin enslaves and leads to destruction. For lack of discipline they will die, led astray by their own great folly. Lack of discipline and abandonment of wisdom result in ruin. Wisdom protects us from the traps of immorality. Sin appears attractive, but its end is bitter and destructive. We must distance ourselves from temptation and avoid risky situations. Infidelity robs dignity, resources, and brings suffering. Marriage should be nurtured with faithfulness and joy. God sees all paths and will bring justice for every action. Are we seeking wisdom to avoid the traps of immorality? Are we protecting our relationships and valuing faithfulness? Are we staying away from temptation or playing with danger? Are we aware that God sees all our actions? For your ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all your paths. We have learned that faithfulness and wisdom are essential for a blessed and protected life, the dangers of foolishness and the reward of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 6. The 6th chapter of Proverbs teaches us to avoid reckless commitments, be diligent in work, flee from wickedness, and resist immorality. It shows that wisdom protects our lives and keeps us on the right path, while foolishness leads to ruin. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, if you have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, becoming a guarantor or taking on debt for others can bring great risks. You have been trapped by what you said, ensnared by the words of your mouth. Rash commitments can entangle us and create financial difficulties. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of the fowler. If we have engaged in unnecessary debts, we must seek a way out quickly. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. The ant teaches the importance of work and planning. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. Diligent work and preparation ensure security for the future. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? Procrastination robs opportunities and leads to poverty. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief and scarcity like an armed man. Comfort-seeking can result in ruin and lack, a troublemaker and a villain who goes about with a corrupt mouth. Dishonest people spread evil and cause destruction, who winks maliciously with his eye, signals with his feet, and motions with his fingers. Body language and gestures can reveal deceptive intentions. Who plots evil with deceit in his heart. He always stirs up conflict. Wickedness and dishonesty lead to destruction. Therefore, disaster will overtake him in an instant. He will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. Wickedness may seem to thrive for a time, but in the end, it brings disaster. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. There are behaviors that God abhors and that we must avoid. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, pride, lies, and violence are detestable to God. A heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil. Sin begins in the heart and manifests in actions. A false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. God hates falsehood and division. My son, keep your father's command and do not forsake your mother's teaching. The teachings of parents are valuable and should be followed. Bind them always on your heart. Fasten them around your neck. Wisdom must be present in our hearts and daily lives. When you walk, they will guide you. When you sleep, they will watch over you. When you awake, they will speak to you. The word of God directs, protects, and strengthens us. For this command is a lamp, this teaching is a light, and correction and instruction are the way to life. Following divine principles keeps us on the right path, keeping you from your neighbor's wife, from the smooth talk of a wayward woman. Seduction and deceptive words lead to ruin. Do not lust in your heart after her beauty, or let her captivate you with her eyes. Physical attraction should not blind us to the consequences of sin. For a prostitute can be had for a loaf of bread, but another man's wife preys on your very life. Immorality can destroy a person's life. Can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burned? Playing with sin is a sure path to destruction. So is he who sleeps with another man's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Adultery brings inevitable and devastating consequences, for jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge. Adultery can awaken wrath and destruction. Avoid reckless financial commitments and seek wisdom in decision-making. Be diligent and flee from laziness, for it leads to poverty. Stay away from wickedness and dishonesty, as God detests such actions. Keep instruction and follow the Lord's commandments, for they bring light and direction. Flee from immorality and adultery, for their consequences are destructive. Are we being prudent in our financial commitments? Are we being diligent in work or falling into laziness? Are we avoiding attitudes that God abhors? Are we protecting our lives from immorality and sin? For this command is a lamp, this teaching is a light, and correction and instruction are the way to life, the danger of seduction and the importance of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 7. The 7th chapter of Proverbs warns us about the dangers of immorality and seduction, showing how wisdom can protect us from the traps of sin. It teaches that uncontrolled desire and a lack of discernment can lead to ruin. But those who keep God's commandments will find security and an abundant life. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Wisdom must not only be heard, but kept in the heart. When we internalize God's teachings, we gain strength to resist sin. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teachings as the apple of your eye. Obedience to God's commandments is a source of life and protection. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Wisdom must always be before us, guiding our decisions. Say to wisdom, "You are my sister," and to insight, "You are my relative." Our relationship with wisdom must be close and constant. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words. Seduction often begins with pleasant and deceitful words. At the window of my house, I look down through the lattice. Solomon observes and describes the behavior of a young man who falls into temptation. I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who had no sense. The lack of discernment makes people vulnerable to deception. He was going down the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house. The reckless young man puts himself in a risky situation by approaching danger. At twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in. Darkness symbolizes sin and a lack of discernment. Then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and with crafty intent. Temptation presents itself attractively, but hides deceitful intentions. She is unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Sin is restless and constantly seeks new victims. She took hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face she said, "Seduction is aggressive and manipulative. Today I fulfilled my vows, and I have food from my fellowship offering at home." She tries to justify her behavior with a facade of religiosity. "So I came out to meet you. I looked for you and have found you." Sin presents itself as an unmissable opportunity. Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. Momentary pleasure hides its destructive consequences. My husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. The false sense of impunity encourages sin. With persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. Sin conquers through seduction and deceit. All at once he followed her like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose. The young man blindly follows his own destruction, till an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it will cost him his life. Sin always demands a higher price than expected. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. God calls us to vigilance and wisdom. Do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. The first step to avoiding sin is to not entertain wrongful desires. Many are the victims she has brought down. Her slain are a mighty throng. Sin has destroyed countless lives throughout history. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. The final destination of sin is separation from God and spiritual death. Wisdom must be kept in the heart to protect us from sin. The seduction of sin presents itself as desirable, but its consequences are destructive. The reckless young man places himself in dangerous situations and ends up deceived. Sin always tries to justify itself and appear harmless. Those who give in to temptation are on a path to destruction. We must be vigilant and avoid any involvement with immorality. Are we keeping God's wisdom in our hearts? Are we alert to avoid the paths of seduction and sin? Do we recognize that momentary pleasure can lead to destruction? Are we seeking holiness and staying away from risky situations? Do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. We have learned that vigilance and wisdom are essential to staying pure and faithful to God. The call of wisdom, Proverbs chapter 8. The 8th chapter of Proverbs presents the voice of wisdom calling out, offering life, justice, and discernment. It teaches that wisdom is an incomparable treasure, greater than any wealth, and was established by God from the beginning. Those who seek it will find life, protection, and the favor of the Lord. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? Wisdom is not hidden. It reveals itself clearly to those willing to listen. At the highest point along the way where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Wisdom appears at crossroads, calling us to follow the right path. Beside the gates leading into the city, at the entrances, she cries aloud. Wisdom is accessible to all, but not everyone chooses to follow it. To you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. God desires that everyone hears and follows wisdom. You who are simple gain prudence. You who are foolish set your hearts on it. The inexperienced and the foolish are called to learn and change their ways. Listen, for I have trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. The words of wisdom are just and true. My mouth speaks what is true, for my lips detest wickedness. Wisdom always aligns with justice and truth. All the words of my mouth are just. None of them is crooked or perverse. Wisdom is pure, straight, and reliable. To the discerning, all of them are right. They are upright to those who have found knowledge. Those who have understanding recognize the righteousness of wisdom. Choose my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice gold. Knowledge and wisdom are more valuable than any material wealth. For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Nothing in life is more precious than God's wisdom. I, wisdom, dwell together with prudence. I possess knowledge and discretion. Wisdom walks alongside prudence and good counsel. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior and perverse speech. Those who love wisdom stay away from evil and arrogance. Counsel and sound judgment are mine. I have insight. I have power. Wisdom brings direction, strength, and discernment. By me kings reign, and rulers issue decrees that are just. Just leaders govern well because they follow wisdom. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. Those who seek wisdom with sincerity will be rewarded. With me are riches and honor, enduring wealth and prosperity. True wealth is found not only in material riches, but in justice and integrity. The Lord brought me forth as the first of his works, before his deeds of old. Wisdom existed before the creation of the world, before the mountains were settled in place, before the hills. I was given birth. Wisdom is eternal and part of God's very essence. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep. Wisdom was present in the creation of all things. Then I was constantly at his side. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in his presence. Wisdom is the foundation of everything God has made. Now then, my children, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Those who follow wisdom will be blessed. Listen to my instruction and be wise. Do not disregard it. Rejecting wisdom is choosing the path of foolishness. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. Wisdom must be sought daily. For those who find me find life and receive favor from the Lord. Wisdom leads us to true life and God's favor. But those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death. Rejecting wisdom is choosing a path of destruction. Wisdom calls for our attention and is available to all. The teachings of wisdom are just and true. Nothing is more valuable than wisdom, not gold nor riches. Wisdom has existed since creation and is part of God's nature. Following wisdom leads to life, but rejecting it leads to destruction. Are we listening to wisdom, or are we following only our own desires? Are we seeking knowledge and discernment daily? Do we recognize that wisdom comes from God and leads to an abundant life? For those who find me, find life and receive favor from the Lord. We have learned that God's wisdom is essential for a full and righteous life. The invitation of wisdom and folly. Proverbs chapter 9. The 9th chapter of Proverbs presents two opposing invitations: the call of wisdom, which leads to life, and the call of folly, which leads to destruction. It teaches that the choice between wisdom and foolishness will determine our destiny. Wisdom has built her house. She has set up its 7 pillars. Wisdom is solid, structured, and well-founded. The 7 pillars symbolize perfection and completeness. She has prepared her meat and mixed her wine. She has also set her table. Wisdom has prepared a rich banquet and is ready to receive those who desire to learn. She has sent out her servants, and she calls from the highest point of the city. Wisdom is not hidden. She calls out to all who are willing to receive her. Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says. Wisdom is available to the humble, to those who recognize their need to learn. Come, eat my food and drink the wine I have mixed. Those who accept the invitation of wisdom are nourished and strengthened. Leave your simple ways, and you will live. Walk in the way of insight. Choosing wisdom brings life. Rejecting it leads to death. Whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. Whoever rebukes the wicked incurs abuse. Not everyone is ready to hear the truth. Mockers despise correction. Do not rebuke mockers, or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise, and they will love you. The wise accept correction and grow from it. Fools reject it and become angry. Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to their learning. The wise are always willing to learn and grow. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. True knowledge begins with reverence for God. Without him, all knowledge is empty. For through wisdom your days will be many, and years will be added to your life. Wisdom brings long and prosperous life. If you are wise, your wisdom will reward you. If you are a mocker, you alone will suffer. Everyone reaps the consequences of their choices, whether good or bad. Folly is an unruly woman. She is simple and knows nothing. Foolishness is loud and impulsive. She sits at the door of her house, on a seat at the highest point of the city. Just like wisdom, folly also extends an invitation, but her path is one of deception. Calling out to those who pass by, who go straight on their way, foolishness tries to lure those who are walking the right path. Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says. The same people called by wisdom are also called by folly. The decision is up to each one. Stolen water is sweet. Food eaten in secret is delicious. Sin seems pleasurable at first, but it leads to destruction. But little do they know that the dead are there, that her guests are deep in the realm of the dead. The path of foolishness leads to death and separation from God. Wisdom and foolishness both extend their invitations. It is up to us to choose. Wisdom is strong, structured, and leads to life. The wise accept correction and grow. Fools reject it and suffer the consequences. The fear of the Lord is the foundation of true wisdom. Foolishness may seem pleasurable at first, but it leads to destruction. Are we choosing the path of wisdom or the path of foolishness? Do we accept correction and seek growth, or do we reject learning? Are we living with the fear of the Lord and seeking His knowledge? Are we vigilant against the deceptions of foolishness and sin? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. We have learned that the choice between wisdom and foolishness will shape our future and our relationship with God. The paths of the righteous and the wicked. Proverbs chapter 10. The 10th chapter of Proverbs marks the beginning of a series of short and practical sayings that contrast the path of the righteous and the wicked. It teaches us that wisdom and righteousness bring blessings and protection, while foolishness and sin lead to destruction. A wise son brings joy to his father, but a foolish son brings grief to his mother. Wisdom brings joy and honor to a family, but foolishness causes pain. Ill-gotten treasures have no lasting value, but righteousness delivers from death. Wealth gained dishonestly does not bring security. Only righteousness truly protects. The Lord does not let the righteous go hungry, but He thwarts the craving of the wicked. God provides for the righteous, but frustrates the plans of the wicked. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Laziness leads to poverty, while hard work brings prosperity. He who gathers crops in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps during harvest is a disgraceful son. Wisdom is found in acting at the right time and not wasting opportunities. Blessings crown the head of the righteous, but violence overwhelms the mouth of the wicked. The righteous are remembered for their good deeds, while the wicked suffer the consequences of their violent words. The name of the righteous is used in blessings, but the name of the wicked will rot. The legacy of the righteous is enduring, but the wicked are forgotten or despised. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. Integrity brings security, while dishonesty will be exposed. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. The words of the righteous bring life, but those of the wicked bring destruction. Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues. Speaking too much can lead to sin. Wisdom is found in self-control. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver, but the heart of the wicked is of little value. Wise words are precious, while the words of the wicked are worthless. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, without painful toil for it. The blessings of God bring true prosperity, without burden or guilt. When the storm has swept by, the wicked are gone, but the righteous stand firm forever. The wicked are swept away by adversity, but the righteous remain standing. The fear of the Lord adds length to life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. Reverence for God prolongs life, while wickedness leads to destruction. The prospect of the righteous is joy, but the hopes of the wicked come to nothing. The righteous live with hope, while the wicked end in disappointment. The way of the Lord is a refuge for the blameless, but it is the ruin of those who do evil. Those who walk with God find strength and security. The righteous will never be uprooted, but the wicked will not remain in the land. The righteous are established by God, but the wicked will lose everything. From the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom, but a perverse tongue will be silenced. The wisdom of the righteous endures, while the wicked will be silenced. The lips of the righteous know what finds favor, but the mouth of the wicked only what is perverse. The righteous speak words that build up, the wicked spread destruction. Wisdom brings blessings and security, while foolishness causes pain. Hard work leads to success, while laziness leads to ruin. Words have great power. The righteous speak life, the wicked speak destruction. Integrity brings protection, but dishonesty will be exposed. The blessing of God is true and does not bring suffering. The fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the wicked will face destruction. Are we choosing righteousness and integrity in our daily actions? Are our words a source of life or destruction? Are we working diligently or falling into the trap of laziness? Are we seeking true prosperity, which comes from the blessing of God? The blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. We have learned that righteousness, the fear of the Lord, and diligence are the keys to a blessed and secure life. The reward of righteousness and the ruin of wickedness. Proverbs chapter 11. The 11th chapter of Proverbs continues to contrast the path of the righteous with that of the wicked, showing that integrity brings blessings and protection, while dishonesty and arrogance lead to destruction. It also highlights the power of words, the importance of generosity, and the rewards of righteousness. Dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, but accurate weights are his delight. God detests dishonesty in business and in life, but he takes pleasure in integrity. When pride comes, disgrace follows, but wisdom is found with the humble. Pride leads to downfall, while humility brings understanding. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. Those who walk in truth have direction and security, while the corrupt will fall into their own traps. Wealth is worthless on the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. Money cannot save anyone in the final judgment, but righteousness can lead to deliverance. The righteousness of the blameless makes their path straight, but the wicked fall because of their wickedness. Justice strengthens and guides, but deceit leads to ruin. The righteousness of the upright rescues them, but the treacherous are trapped by their own desires. When the wicked die, their hope perishes, and their expectations come to nothing. The wicked place their trust in temporary things, but their destruction is inevitable. The righteous person is delivered from trouble, and the wicked take their place. Those who follow the right path find freedom, while the wicked suffer the consequences of their actions. With their mouths, the godless destroy their neighbors, but through knowledge, the righteous are delivered. Lies and deception can ruin lives, but truth brings freedom. Through the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked, it is torn down. Righteousness strengthens a nation, while wickedness can bring it to ruin. Whoever belittles their neighbor lacks sense, but the one with understanding remains silent. Wisdom teaches us to avoid rash judgments and destructive words. A gossip betrays confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret. Those who spread rumors sow discord, but the wise protect peace and unity. A kind-hearted person benefits themselves, but a cruel person brings harm to themselves. Those who do good will be rewarded, while those who practice evil will suffer the consequences. One person gives freely and gains even more, while another withholds unduly and comes to poverty. Generosity leads to prosperity, while greed results in lack. A generous person will prosper, and whoever refreshes others will also be refreshed. Those who help others will receive help from God. People curse the one who hoards grain, but blessings come upon those who sell it fairly. Honesty and generosity in business bring honor and respect. Whoever seeks good finds favor, but evil comes to those who pursue it. Those who search for righteousness are rewarded, while those who chase wickedness are consumed by it. Those who trust in their wealth will fall, but the righteous will flourish like a green leaf. Relying on material possessions is foolish, but righteousness is everlasting. Those who bring trouble upon their households will inherit only the wind, and fools will serve the wise. Foolishness destroys homes and leads to failure. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and those who win souls are wise. The righteous influence others for good and bear lasting fruit. If the righteous receive their due on earth, how much more will the ungodly and the sinner face judgment? If even the just experience trials, how much greater will the suffering of the wicked be? God delights in honesty and integrity, but detests falsehood and corruption. Pride leads to downfall, while humility brings wisdom. Words hold great power. The righteous use them to build up, while the wicked use them to destroy. Generosity brings blessings, but greed leads to ruin. The righteous are strong and bear fruit, while the wicked reap destruction. Are we acting with honesty and integrity in our daily lives and business dealings? Are our words bringing life or causing harm? Are we generous and trusting in God's provision, or are we selfish and greedy? Are we seeking good and influencing others toward righteousness? The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and those who win souls are wise. Proverbs chapter 11 teaches us that righteousness, generosity, and integrity are rewarded, while pride, greed, and wickedness lead to destruction. Understanding these truths helps us navigate life with wisdom and purpose, ensuring that we build a legacy that honors God. The reward of righteousness and the ruin of foolishness. Proverbs chapter 12. The 12th chapter of Proverbs continues contrasting the paths of the righteous and the wicked, emphasizing the value of discipline, diligence, and integrity. It teaches that those who choose wisdom prosper, while fools reap destruction. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is foolish. Accepting correction is a sign of wisdom, while rejecting it is an act of foolishness. A good person obtains favor from the Lord, but he condemns those who devise evil. God rewards goodness, but punishes those who practice wickedness. No one is established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous will not be moved. Righteousness is a firm foundation, while wickedness lacks stability. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but a disgraceful woman is like decay in his bones. A wise and virtuous wife builds her home and strengthens her husband, but a foolish woman can destroy her household through her actions. The thoughts of the righteous are just, but the advice of the wicked is deceitful. The righteous act with honesty, but the wicked are full of falsehood. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. Righteousness has a lasting foundation, but wickedness does not withstand the test of time. Better is the one who is lightly esteemed, but has a servant, than the one who honors himself, but lacks bread. Humility and hard work are far more valuable than empty pride and vanity. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. The words of the righteous bring life and build up, while the words of the wicked cause destruction. Some speak like the thrusts of a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Words have the power to harm or heal, and wisdom knows how to use them properly. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. Truth prevails, but lies are temporary and carry consequences. The lazy person craves and gets nothing, but the diligent are fully satisfied. Hard work and diligence lead to prosperity, but laziness results in nothing. The diligent will rule, but the lazy will be put to forced labor. Discipline leads to success, while negligence results in servitude. The lazy person does not roast what he has hunted, but diligence is a precious possession. Laziness wastes opportunities, while the diligent make the most of them. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, but even the compassion of the wicked is cruel. The righteous show kindness even to animals, while the wicked lack mercy. No harm will overtake the righteous, but the wicked are filled with trouble. Uprightness provides protection, while sin invites problems. The way of righteousness leads to life, and along its path there is no death. Walking in righteousness leads to life and peace. Accepting correction makes us wiser and brings us closer to God. Righteousness provides stability, while wickedness leads to ruin. Words have power, and we must use them to build up rather than destroy. Diligent work leads to prosperity, while laziness results in failure. Truth endures forever, but lies are short-lived. The righteous are protected, while the wicked constantly face trouble. Are we accepting correction and striving to grow in wisdom? Are we being diligent and responsible in our work? Are our words building up or tearing down lives? Are we following the path of righteousness and truth, or are we allowing laziness and falsehood to take over? The way of righteousness leads to life, and along its path there is no death. We have seen that righteousness, diligence, and the careful use of words are keys to a prosperous and secure life, the path of wisdom and the consequences of foolishness. Proverbs chapter 13. The 13th chapter of Proverbs continues to contrast the lives of the wise and the foolish, showing that discipline leads to success, while laziness and rebellion bring destruction. It teaches that words, choices, and diligence determine a person's future. A wise child listens to a father's instruction, but a mocker refuses to hear correction. Wisdom begins with a willingness to learn and accept discipline. Whoever guards their mouth preserves their life, but whoever speaks carelessly invites trouble. Words hold great power, and those who control them avoid many problems. Whoever rejects correction will end up in poverty and shame, but those who accept discipline will be honored. Accepting discipline leads to growth and honor, while rejecting it results in failure. The lazy crave and receive nothing, but the diligent are fully satisfied. Desire without action leads nowhere, but effort produces results. Wealth obtained dishonestly will diminish, but whoever gathers it little by little will increase it. Money gained easily disappears quickly, but wealth earned through hard work grows. The righteous eat until they are satisfied, but the wicked go hungry. Those who live with integrity prosper, while those who pursue sin suffer lack. Whoever guards their mouth preserves their soul, but the one who speaks recklessly invites ruin. Words can either protect or destroy a person, so we must use them wisely. Fools bring punishment upon themselves, while the lips of the wise protect them. Foolishness invites discipline, but wisdom provides safety. The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, turning people away from the snares of death. Wise words lead to life and keep people from danger. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. The people we associate with shape our character and influence our future. The righteous hate lies, but the wicked bring shame and disgrace upon themselves. Truth strengthens the just, while the wicked live in confusion. The righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindness of the wicked is cruel. Compassion and kindness are marks of the righteous. Disaster pursues sinners, but the righteous are rewarded with good. Those who do evil bring destruction upon themselves, while those who live justly receive rewards. A good person leaves an inheritance to their children's children, but the wealth of sinners is stored up for the righteous. The just leave a lasting legacy, but the possessions of the wicked do not endure. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. Waiting for something and not seeing it happen can bring discouragement, but when a promise is fulfilled, it brings joy and new life. Whoever despises the word will be destroyed, but whoever fears the commandment will be rewarded. Obeying God brings blessings, but ignoring his principles leads to destruction. The fear of the Lord leads to life, and whoever has it will be satisfied and free from harm. The reverence for God is the key to a fulfilled and secure life. Accepting correction makes us wise, while rejecting it leads to downfall. Diligent work brings prosperity, while laziness results in scarcity. Words have power, and we must use them to build up rather than tear down. Friendships shape our character and future. Righteousness leads to blessings, while wickedness attracts disaster. The fear of the Lord and obedience to his word lead to true abundance and security. Are we accepting correction and striving to grow in wisdom? Are we being diligent and responsible in our work? Are our words building others up or tearing them down? Have we chosen friendships that bring us closer to God? Are we living with reverence and obedience to the Lord? The fear of the Lord leads to life, and whoever has it will be satisfied and free from harm. We have seen that wisdom, righteousness, and the fear of God lead to true prosperity and security. Wisdom builds, foolishness destroys. Proverbs chapter 14. The 14th chapter of Proverbs continues to contrast the path of wisdom and righteousness with the path of foolishness and wickedness. It teaches that wisdom builds lives and homes, while foolishness leads to destruction. It also highlights the importance of fearing the Lord, living with integrity, and exercising self-control. A wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. Wisdom strengthens a family, but recklessness can destroy it. Whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord, but whoever is devious despises him. The fear of the Lord leads to righteousness, while wickedness disregards God's ways. The words of the foolish bring ruin upon them, but the lips of the wise protect them. What we say has power, wisdom preserves, but foolishness leads to downfall. Where there are no oxen, the barn is empty, but an abundant harvest comes through the strength of an ox. Hard work leads to prosperity, but laziness brings scarcity. A truthful witness does not lie, but a false witness pours out lies. Honesty strengthens and brings honor, while deception destroys credibility. A mocker seeks wisdom and finds none, but knowledge comes easily to the discerning. Those who are arrogant struggle to find understanding, while the humble learn with ease. Stay away from a fool, for you will not find knowledge on their lips. Avoid negative influences and seek companions who encourage wisdom. The wise consider their steps, but the foolish deceive themselves. Wisdom leads to discernment, but fools are trapped by their own choices. There is a way that appears right to a person, but in the end, it leads to death. Not everything that seems right truly is. We must seek God's direction. Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and joy may end in grief. Not all happiness is real. We must guard our hearts. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. We should not trust everything we hear, but carefully evaluate what is true. A hot-tempered person acts foolishly, but a wise person remains patient. Uncontrolled anger leads to reckless decisions, while patience is a mark of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, turning people away from the snares of death. Reverence and respect for God are the keys to a secure and fulfilled life. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. Integrity strengthens a society, while sin leads to downfall. Wisdom builds homes and strengthens lives, but foolishness destroys everything around it. Hard work and honesty bring prosperity and honor. Words have great impact. We must use them wisely. Patience and discernment protect us from many traps. The fear of the Lord leads to life, while sin results in destruction. Are we building our lives and families on wisdom or foolishness? Do our words build up or tear down? Are we seeking the fear of the Lord to guide our decisions? Have we exercised patience and discernment in our choices? The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, turning people away from the snares of death. We see that wisdom protects, strengthens, and leads us on the right path, while foolishness leads to destruction. The power of words and the path of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 15. The 15th chapter of Proverbs highlights the impact of words, the importance of humility, and the value of fearing the Lord. It teaches that wisdom leads to life and peace, while foolishness brings destruction and sorrow. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The way we respond can either calm or escalate conflicts. The tongue of the wise makes knowledge appealing, but the mouth of the fool gushes out foolishness. Wise words teach and build up, but the words of fools are empty and reckless. A soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. Words can heal and strengthen, but they can also wound deeply. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. Nothing escapes God's sight. He sees all and judges righteously. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. God delights in the righteous and responds to their prayers. A mocker resents correction and will not seek advice from the wise. Fools reject discipline, but the wise embrace it to grow. The fear of the Lord teaches wisdom, and humility comes before honor. True wisdom begins with reverence for God and requires a humble heart. A joyful heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. Inner joy is reflected outwardly, while sorrow weighs down the soul. Better a meal of vegetables where there is love than a fattened ox with hatred. Love and peace are more valuable than wealth without harmony. Better a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure with turmoil. The presence of God brings more fulfillment than riches without peace. The path of the lazy is blocked with thorn, but the way of the upright is a highway. Laziness makes life difficult, while diligence clears the way. The Lord tears down the house of the proud, but establishes the home of the humble. The righteous flourish, while the wicked face destruction. Words have power. We must use them to build up, not to tear down. God sees all our actions and rewards the righteous. Accepting correction and remaining humble are signs of true wisdom. Joy and peace in the heart are worth more than material wealth. Diligence and righteousness lead to prosperity, while laziness and wickedness bring ruin. Are we using our words to build or to destroy? Do we accept correction with humility or reject it out of pride? Are we seeking joy and peace in the Lord, or chasing after fleeting things? Are we living with diligence and righteousness, or following the path of laziness and sin? The fear of the Lord teaches wisdom, and humility comes before honor. We learn that wisdom leads to a life of peace, joy, and prosperity, while foolishness leads to ruin. The plans of man and the sovereignty of God. Proverbs chapter 16. The 16th chapter of Proverbs teaches about the importance of trusting in God's sovereignty, recognizing that He directs the paths of the righteous and examines every heart. It also highlights the value of humility, justice, and self-control, showing that human plans only prosper when aligned with God's will. A person may plan their course, but the Lord determines the outcome. We can set our goals, but the final word always belongs to God. All a person's ways seem pure to them, but the Lord weighs the motives. Our intentions may appear right to us, but God sees beyond appearances and examines the heart. Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will be established. When we surrender our plans to God, He brings clarity and success. A person's heart plans their way, but the Lord directs their steps. We may outline our path, but it is God who leads us to the right destination. The lips of a king should speak justice. It is an abomination for rulers to practice wickedness. Leadership must be based on justice, not corruption. Honest scales and balances belong to the Lord. All the weights in the bag are His work. God demands honesty and integrity in business and all aspects of life. The righteous are delivered in times of trouble, but the wicked are cast into ruin. Justice brings protection, but wickedness leads to destruction. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Arrogance brings downfall, but humility keeps a person steady. Better to be humble with the meek than to share plunder with the proud. True wealth is found in humility rather than riches gained through dishonesty. Whoever gives thought to the word will prosper, and blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. Wisdom and trust in God lead to true happiness. Pleasant words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Words of kindness bring healing and encouragement. A perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. Slander destroys relationships and must be avoided. Whoever guards their mouth preserves their life, but whoever speaks recklessly will come to ruin. Exercising control over our speech protects us from many troubles. Better a patient person than a warrior, one who rules their spirit than one who takes a city. True strength is found in self-control, not in physical might. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Even things that seem random are under God's control. God is sovereign and directs the plans of the righteous. Justice and honesty bring security and prosperity. Humility comes before honor, while pride leads to downfall. Kind words have great power, but gossip and arrogance cause ruin. Self-control is more valuable than physical strength. Are we entrusting our plans to the Lord, or are we following only our own will? Is our life marked by justice and honesty? Have we cultivated humility, or has pride taken root in our hearts? Are we using our words to build others up, or to tear them down? Have we sought true strength, which comes from wisdom and self-control? Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will be established. We learn that true wisdom and prosperity come from trusting in God, walking in justice, and practicing self-control. Wisdom in relationships and the value of peace. Proverbs chapter 17. The 17th chapter of Proverbs emphasizes the importance of peace, justice, and wisdom in relationships. It teaches that character is more valuable than wealth, that self-control prevents conflicts, and that words should be used with prudence. A wise heart promotes harmony, while foolishness brings destruction. Better is a dry crust with peace and quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. Peace is more valuable than wealth acquired without harmony. Whoever covers an offense seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates close friends. Forgiveness strengthens relationships, but dwelling on past mistakes destroys friendships. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. True friends remain faithful in every situation. Whoever mocks the poor insults their maker, and whoever rejoices at disaster will not go unpunished. God delights in justice and compassion, but condemns insensitivity. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, both are detestable to the Lord. Fairness and integrity are essential before God. The one who has knowledge restrains his words, and the person of understanding remains calm. Speaking less and listening more is a sign of wisdom. Even a fool is considered wise when he remains silent. If he keeps his mouth shut, he is deemed intelligent. Silence can prevent many problems and even convey wisdom. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Joy strengthens health, while prolonged sorrow weakens the body. A foolish son brings grief to his father and bitterness to the mother who bore him. Foolishness brings suffering to the entire family. Peace and harmony are more valuable than wealth. Justice and fairness are essential before God. Self-control and silence prevent many problems. Joy strengthens life, while sorrow weakens. Healthy relationships are built on forgiveness and loyalty. Are we cultivating peace and harmony in our relationships? Do our words build up or tear down? Are we practicing justice and showing compassion? Have we sought wisdom to speak less and listen more? A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. We learn that wisdom teaches us to value peace, justice, and joy in our lives. The power of words and the pursuit of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 18. The 18th chapter of Proverbs highlights the impact of words, the importance of wisdom, and the value of human relationships. It teaches that the tongue can bring life or destruction, that pride leads to isolation, and that prudence strengthens a person's life. Whoever isolates themselves seeks their own desire and rebels against sound wisdom. Those who avoid wise counsel often act out of selfishness. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing their own opinions. The foolish are not interested in learning. They only want to speak their own minds. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Words have the ability to build or destroy lives. To answer before listening is folly and shame. Judging a matter without first understanding it is a sign of foolishness. The human spirit sustains a person in sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear. Inner strength helps overcome difficulties, but a heart without hope becomes weak. The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, and the ears of the wise seek it out. The wise are always learning and searching for understanding. A gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. Generosity and skill create opportunities and lead to favor. A person of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. The quality of friendships is more important than the quantity. A brother wronged is harder to be won than a fortified city. Disputes are like the barred gates of a citadel. Conflicts can build strong walls between people, making reconciliation difficult but necessary. Isolation hinders wisdom and growth. Words have a powerful impact, and we must use them responsibly. Prudence and a continuous pursuit of learning strengthen life. Healthy relationships require care and reconciliation. True friendships are rare and valuable. Are we seeking wisdom or insisting on our own opinions? Are we using our words to build up or to tear down? Have we been cultivating healthy relationships and seeking reconciliation when needed? Are we surrounding ourselves with loyal and wise friends? The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. We learn that the way we speak, act, and choose our friendships directly shapes our lives. Wisdom in life and the path of justice. Proverbs chapter 19. The 19th chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of integrity, patience, and prudence, showing that wisdom protects and leads to prosperity, while foolishness leads to ruin. It warns about the consequences of poor choices and the necessity of fearing the Lord. Better is the poor who walks in integrity than the one who is perverse in speech and is a fool. Honesty and character are more valuable than material wealth. Wealth brings many friends, but the poor are abandoned even by their closest companions. People are often drawn to money, but true friendship is revealed in adversity. A person's own foolishness ruins their life, yet their heart rages against the Lord. Many create their own problems and then blame God for the consequences. Whoever gets wisdom loves their own soul. Those who cherish understanding will find good. Wisdom protects and leads to success. A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever spreads lies will perish. Lies always bring negative consequences. Discipline your child while there is hope, but do not set your heart on causing them harm. Discipline in childhood is essential to forming strong character, but it must always be balanced with love. A person's wisdom yields patience, and it is to one's glory to overlook an offense. Patience prevents conflicts and demonstrates strength of character. The lazy person buries their hand in the dish, but will not even bring it back to their mouth. Laziness leads to stagnation and poverty. The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. Those who fear the Lord find protection, satisfaction, and security. Integrity is more valuable than wealth and influence. Prudence protects us from many problems. Patience and self-control prevent unnecessary conflicts. Discipline is necessary for growth and success. The fear of the Lord leads to a full and secure life. Are we valuing integrity more than material possessions? Are we cultivating patience and self-control? Are we seeking wisdom to avoid problems? Are we living in the fear of the Lord and following his ways? The fear of the Lord leads to life, then one rests content, untouched by trouble. We learn that integrity, patience, and reverence for the Lord are the foundation of a blessed and secure life. Wisdom in life and the importance of integrity. Proverbs chapter 20. The 20th chapter of Proverbs teaches the value of justice, honesty, and self-control, showing that wisdom protects a person from life's traps and that integrity is more valuable than riches. It warns about the consequences of recklessness and the need to trust in God's direction. Wine is a mocker, and strong drink is a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise. A lack of control over passions and vices leads to foolishness and destruction. It is an honor for a man to avoid strife, but every fool will be quick to quarrel. Avoiding unnecessary conflicts demonstrates wisdom. The lazy person does not plow in season, so at harvest time they will beg and have nothing. Procrastination prevents success. Those who fail to prepare suffer the consequences. Better is the poor who walks in integrity than one who is perverse in their ways, even if they are rich. Honesty is worth more than any material wealth. There is gold and an abundance of rubies, but lips that speak knowledge are a precious jewel. Wisdom holds greater value than any riches. A person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way? Life only makes sense when we trust in God's guidance. Dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, and false weights are not good. Honesty in business is an essential principle before God. A merciful person does good for their own soul, but the cruel person troubles their own flesh. Kindness benefits both the giver and the receiver. A gossip betrays confidence, so avoid those who talk too much. Gossip destroys reputations and relationships. Wisdom is found in silence. The spirit of a person is the lamp of the Lord, searching the inner depths of the heart. God knows our hearts and examines our intentions. Self-control protects us from many pitfalls in life. Integrity is worth more than any wealth. Honesty and justice are non-negotiable principles before God. We must trust in the Lord's guidance rather than rely solely on our own understanding. Silence and discretion preserve our reputation and relationships. Are we exercising self-control and avoiding impulsive decisions? Are we living with integrity even when it costs us something? Are we trusting in God's direction, or are we insisting on our own ways? Have our words been wise, or have we fallen into the trap of gossip? A person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way? We learn that true wisdom lies in living with integrity, trusting in God's direction, and practicing justice. Justice, wisdom, and the way of the Lord. Proverbs chapter 21. The 21st chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of justice, wisdom, and humility before God. It highlights that God rules over all things, that righteousness is more valuable than sacrifices, and that pride leads to destruction. It also warns about the consequences of laziness, lack of self-control, and wickedness. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He directs it like a stream of water wherever he pleases. God has control over rulers and the course of history. A person may think their own ways are right, but the Lord weighs the heart. We may believe we are on the right path, but God sees our true intentions. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but victory comes from the Lord. Human effort is necessary, but true success comes from God. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. God values a just heart more than empty religious rituals. The wicked are brought down by their own evil, but the righteous find refuge in their integrity. Evil always turns against the wicked, while justice serves as a shield for the upright. Haughty eyes and a proud heart, the unplowed field of the wicked, produce sin. Pride is the path to sin and destruction. Whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, righteousness, and honor. Those who seek justice and kindness will be rewarded with abundant life and respect. The craving of the sluggard kills him because his hands refuse to work. Laziness leads to suffering because it prevents action and progress. The plans of the diligent lead to profit, but haste leads to poverty. Persistence leads to success, while negligence brings hardship. The wise conquer the city of the mighty and pull down the stronghold in which they trust. Wisdom is more powerful than physical strength. Whoever guards their mouth and tongue keeps themselves from trouble. Self-control in speech prevents many problems. God rules over all things and examines the heart. Righteousness and integrity matter more than religious rituals. Pride and wickedness lead to ruin, while humility and justice bring honor. Diligence and hard work are rewarded, but laziness leads to poverty. Wisdom and self-control are more powerful than brute force. Are we living with justice or just following religious routines? Have we sought humility or allowed pride to dominate us? Are we diligent in our work and responsibilities, or have we been negligent? Have we practiced wisdom and self-control in our words and actions? Whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, righteousness, and honor. We learn that true life and prosperity come from seeking justice, wisdom, and integrity before God. How to control our desires and walk in wisdom. Proverbs chapter 22. The 22nd chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of discipline, character, and prudence in decision-making. It warns that uncontrolled desires can lead to ruin, while self-control and wisdom bring prosperity and honor. True wealth is not found in money, but in integrity and reputation. A good name builds trust and opens doors, yet many pursue riches while neglecting honesty. The choices we make today shape how we will be remembered in the future. A wise person foresees danger and takes precautions, but the naive ignore warnings and suffer the consequences. Success without spiritual responsibility is an illusion. The fear of the Lord is the foundation that protects us from destructive decisions. Businesses and projects built on honesty grow in a sustainable way, while those rooted in corruption eventually collapse. The uncontrolled pursuit of wealth leads to financial bondage. Impulsive spending results in debt and anxiety, but wise financial management brings freedom and peace. Those who control their expenses and act with prudence experience financial stability, while those enslaved by consumerism live in constant distress. Education and moral instruction shape a person's future. Teaching a child the right path provides a strong foundation for life. Without discipline and values, desires become unrestrained, leading to poor decisions. Parents who instill responsibility and biblical principles equip their children to make wise choices as adults. A generous heart brings more blessings than the relentless pursuit of wealth. True prosperity is found in giving rather than hoarding. Seeking status and approval from others can be deceptive, leading people into emotional and financial traps. Those who live to impress often lose sight of what truly matters. Surrounding ourselves with the right people strengthens our spiritual journey. Bad company corrupts good character. Associating with reckless and impulsive individuals can lead to destruction, while walking alongside wise and disciplined people brings wisdom and protection. Honoring the lessons and principles established by those who came before us is essential for a strong and stable future. Diligence and excellence lead to true success. Those who are faithful in their work will stand before leaders and not remain in obscurity. Real success does not come from shortcuts, but from commitment, dedication, and perseverance. Character and reputation are more valuable than material wealth. The fear of the Lord protects us from deceptive desires. Education and discipline shape a strong foundation for life. The wrong influences can lead us astray, but wisdom keeps us on the right path. True success comes through diligence, patience, and faithfulness. Are we pursuing wealth in an honest and righteous way? Are our desires aligned with God's will? Have we surrounded ourselves with people who lead us toward wisdom and not distraction? A wise person sees trouble ahead and takes refuge, but the foolish ignore the warning and suffer the consequences. Proverbs chapter 22 teaches that self-control and wisdom are essential to avoiding deceptive desires. The real question remains, how can we apply justice and righteousness in every area of our lives? How to master our desires and seek true wisdom. Proverbs chapter 23. The 23rd chapter of Proverbs teaches about the dangers of uncontrolled desires, whether for wealth, pleasure, or self-indulgence. It urges us to pursue wisdom, discipline, and contentment, as momentary desires can draw us away from God and bring devastating consequences. The excessive pursuit of status and influence can lead us to compromise our values. Self-control protects us from traps and manipulations. Many seek to please those in power, but end up falling into temptation and losing their integrity. Wealth and power can be deceptive. What seems like a benefit is often a snare. Relentless ambition for riches can lead to exhaustion and frustration. True wisdom lies in seeking balance and contentment. Riches are fleeting. Placing trust in them is like building on sand. Our focus should be on God, not on the relentless pursuit of material gain. Respecting the principles and values God has established brings security. Those who try to take advantage of the weak will ultimately face judgment. Continuous learning is essential for a meaningful life. Those who value knowledge and discipline will reap the rewards of wisdom. Correction is an act of love and protection. Discipline teaches self-control and prevents many future hardships. Parents who educate their children with both love and firmness prepare them for a future of success and wisdom. God delights in seeing his children walking in truth. True happiness does not come from material possessions, but from a heart aligned with God. Envy of sinners leads to frustration and sin, while the fear of the Lord brings true security and peace. A future built on faith and wisdom is never in vain. Overindulgence in food and drink leads to destruction. Those who live only for pleasure will ultimately suffer the consequences. Addictions and vices bring sorrow, pain, and ruin. Sin always demands a higher price than expected. Many seek escape in alcohol and fleeting pleasures, but find only regret and destruction. The desire for status and wealth can lead to downfall. Materialism is a trap. True security is found in God. Discipline and education shape strong character. The fear of the Lord ensures a secure future. Unrestrained pleasure and addiction lead to poverty and suffering. Are we seeking wisdom or chasing temporary pleasures? Are our desires aligned with God's will? Are we practicing discipline and self-control? Listen, my child, and be wise. Keep your heart on the right path. Proverbs chapter 23 teaches that self-control and wisdom shield us from life's deceptions. The real question remains, how can we live a life of contentment and reverence for the Lord in a world full of illusion? How to build a solid life aligned with God's wisdom. Proverbs chapter 24. The 24th chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of wisdom, justice, and diligent work. It warns us against envying the wicked, falling into laziness, and neglecting proper planning, showing that true prosperity comes from a heart aligned with God and the pursuit of truth. The success of the wicked may seem appealing, but it is fleeting. The righteous have an eternal foundation, while the ungodly often live without true peace and security. Appearances can be deceiving, and we must trust that God's justice will prevail in the right time. The wicked build their lives on deception and destruction, but their downfall is inevitable. The path of the righteous is illuminated, while the way of the wicked leads only to darkness. A solid life is not built on shortcuts, but on wisdom and prudence. True security comes from a foundation of understanding and knowledge. A wise person is strong, and true strength does not come from physical power alone, but from wisdom. Making decisions alone can be risky, while seeking wise counsel leads to victory. Many failures could be avoided with more careful planning and by listening to the right advice. God calls us to act with honesty and integrity in all our decisions. Adversity reveals a person's true strength. We must trust in God and not give up when facing difficulties. Many abandon their path at the moment of testing, but those who persevere will see the reward of their faith. The righteous may fall 7 times, but they rise again, while the wicked stumble and are unable to recover. If we fall, we should not remain on the ground. God gives us the strength to rise again. Finding joy in the downfall of others exposes a hardened heart. God is just and does not approve of vengeance or hatred. Retaliation belongs to the Lord, and our role is to trust in His justice. Neglect leads to ruin. The undisciplined life is marked by wasted opportunities and unfulfilled potential. Complacency leads to poverty, and those who delay their responsibilities will face the consequences. God calls us to be diligent and faithful in all that we do, for honest work brings provision and blessings. Envying the wicked is an illusion. True success comes from God. Wisdom is the foundation of a strong and prosperous life. Seeking wise counsel leads to victory. Perseverance strengthens our faith and lifts us after failure. Justice belongs to God, and we must trust His perfect timing. Laziness leads to poverty, while diligence results in prosperity. Are we building our lives on wisdom or on shortcuts and deception? Do we seek wise counsel before making important decisions? How do we respond to difficulties? Do we give up or persevere? Are we avoiding laziness and working diligently? For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. Proverbs chapter 24 reminds us that lasting success comes from wisdom, perseverance, and trust in God. The real question remains, how can we strengthen our faith and avoid the dangers of laziness and lack of preparation? How to attain honor and live with prudence. Proverbs chapter 25. The 25th chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of humility, self-control, and wisdom in relationships. It shows us that true success comes from a wise heart, a controlled tongue, and just actions. God's glory is found in the mystery of His wisdom, but He invites us to seek understanding. The wise continuously investigate and learn, knowing that true knowledge is an endless pursuit. The greatness of God and the complexity of His creation are beyond measure, and humility leads us to seek more wisdom, while the foolish settle for ignorance. Humility paves the way for honor. It is better to wait for recognition than to seek it prematurely, for self-exaltation leads to humiliation. Many strive to be noticed, but end up ashamed. God resists the proud, but honors the humble. Impulsiveness in conflicts can bring regret, so we must seek truth before making accusations. The right words spoken at the right time hold immense value. Wisdom is not just in what we say, but also in when and how we say it. Even good things, when consumed in excess, can be harmful. Moderation protects us from overindulgence and waste. Knowing when to step back in relationships is a sign of wisdom, for even the best connections can suffer from a lack of boundaries. False promises and betrayal have devastating effects. Lies destroy reputations, and trust placed in unreliable people leads to disappointment. We must choose carefully whom we rely on in difficult times. Vengeance belongs to the Lord, and our role is to show kindness even to our enemies. When we respond with love, we reflect spiritual maturity and allow God to work in hearts. Deception and dishonesty create conflict, but honesty brings peace. A household filled with arguments robs life of joy, while patience and respect build strong relationships. A person without self-control is like a city without walls, defenseless against destruction. Emotional discipline is a shield against impulsive and damaging decisions. Seeking wisdom brings honor and discernment. Humility protects us from disgrace and leads to elevation. The right words at the right time carry great power, Moderation and balance are key to a fulfilling life. Deception and betrayal come with serious consequences. Showing kindness to enemies reflects deep spiritual maturity. Self-control guards us from failure and ruin. Are we living with humility, or are we seeking recognition prematurely? Are we exercising self-control, or are we acting on impulse? Are our words instruments of wisdom or weapons of destruction? Are we practicing moderation in our actions and relationships? Like a city whose walls are broken down is a person who lacks self-control. Proverbs chapter 25 reminds us that wisdom, humility, and self-discipline are essential for a successful life. The question remains, how can we develop greater self-control and wisdom in our daily decisions? How to avoid foolishness and act with wisdom. Proverbs chapter 26. The 26th chapter of Proverbs teaches us how to recognize and avoid foolish behavior, warning against the dangers of laziness, deceit, and strife. It shows us that wisdom protects us from traps, while foolishness leads to destruction. Honoring a fool is as absurd as snow in summer. Foolishness always brings dishonor to those who embrace it. No curse can come upon someone without cause, for God protects those who live with justice and righteousness. A fool only learns through pain and severe correction. Discipline is necessary for those who reject instruction. We must exercise discernment when dealing with fools. Engaging in senseless arguments only lowers us to their level. However, sometimes a fool must be confronted to prevent them from thinking they are wise. Each situation requires wisdom to know when to respond and when to remain silent. Trusting a fool with an important task leads to loss and chaos, as foolishness makes any assignment dangerous and ineffective. Laziness is marked by endless excuses. The lazy person creates imaginary dangers to avoid responsibility. They remain stuck in a cycle of inaction and wasted potential. A lazy person desires benefits but refuses to put in the effort. Their arrogance prevents them from recognizing their own shortcomings. Getting involved in conflicts that do not concern us is like grabbing a wild dog by the ears. It will only bring trouble. Some people use deception and lies, disguising them as jokes, but their words bring destruction. Gossipers fuel division, and their words may seem sweet, but are deeply poisonous. Removing a troublemaker is the best way to restore peace. Hypocrisy disguises evil intentions. A deceitful person may appear trustworthy, but their heart is filled with malice. Their words may be smooth, but their motives are hidden. Those who plot against others will ultimately fall into their own traps. Honor does not belong to the foolish. Engaging in disputes with fools is unwise, as they refuse to learn. Laziness leads to ruin and self-pity. Meddling in others' conflicts is a dangerous mistake. Deception and falsehood destroy relationships and cause harm. Gossipers keep the flames of division burning. Evil always returns to those who practice it. Are we acting wisely in our words and actions? Do we avoid arguing with fools, or do we insist on convincing those who refuse to learn? Are we rejecting laziness and being diligent in our purpose? Are we discerning enough to recognize and protect ourselves from deceitful people? Without wood, a fire goes out, and without a gossip, conflict ceases. Proverbs chapter 26 reminds us that foolishness, laziness, and deceit bring destruction, but wisdom protects us from unnecessary trouble. The question remains, how can we cultivate wisdom and avoid the traps of foolishness in everyday life? How to live with wisdom in relationships and character. Proverbs chapter 27. The 27th chapter of Proverbs teaches us the importance of building strong relationships, cultivating solid character, and living with prudence. It warns us against arrogance, deceit, and the unpredictability of life, showing that true friendship and wisdom are lasting riches. The future is uncertain, and boasting about tomorrow can lead to disappointment. True recognition comes from others, not from self-promotion. Humility attracts honor, while pride pushes people away. Anger and envy are burdens that can weigh heavily on the soul. Learning to control emotions is essential to avoiding destructive conflicts. Envy, like a silent poison, corrodes relationships and distorts our perspective. A sincere correction, given with love, is more valuable than empty flattery. True friends offer honest guidance, even when it is hard to hear. Relationships that challenge us to grow are the ones that make us stronger. Just as iron sharpens iron, so friends sharpen and refine one another. Wisdom allows us to foresee problems and avoid unnecessary hardships. Being diligent in managing what we have ensures stability and prosperity. Neglect, on the other hand, leads to loss. Financial success must be accompanied by careful planning, as nothing in life is guaranteed. We are called to be wise stewards of what God has given us. Gratitude allows us to appreciate even the smallest blessings, while dissatisfaction causes people to overlook what truly matters. Stability brings security, whether in family, work, or faith. Surrounding ourselves with loyal, wise friends is far more valuable than seeking temporary companionship in difficult times. True friendship brings comfort, guidance, and joy, and a heartfelt word of encouragement can be more meaningful than any material gift. Generosity leads to blessing, while greed results in loss. Sharing what we have brings favor and prosperity. Holding back for selfish gain, however, leads to resentment and judgment. The future is uncertain, and humility is the key to living with wisdom and dependence on God. Anger and envy are destructive, while true friendship brings correction and strength. Prudence protects us from making poor decisions, and wise management of resources provides security. Loyalty and generosity are rewarded, both in this life and in eternity. Are we living with humility, recognizing that tomorrow is in God's hands? Do we appreciate and nurture true friendships, or are we drawn to empty flattery? Are we practicing prudence and preparing for the future wisely? Have we been faithful stewards of what God has entrusted to us? As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs chapter 27 reminds us that true friendship, humility, and wisdom are the keys to a blessed and successful life. The question remains: how can we cultivate deeper relationships and live with the wisdom that leads to lasting success? How to live in righteousness and integrity. Proverbs chapter 28. The 28th chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of justice, honesty, and obedience to God. It warns about the dangers of corruption, greed, and a lack of reverence for the Lord, showing that true prosperity comes from righteousness and diligent work. The righteous live with boldness, while the wicked are plagued by fear and insecurity. Sin produces guilt and leads to anxiety, but those who walk in integrity have peace and confidence. Rejecting God's law leads to supporting injustice, while those who uphold the truth stand against evil. Wealth without character holds no value before God. Integrity is worth more than any fortune. The pursuit of dishonest gain leads to ruin, as riches acquired through injustice do not bring lasting blessings. God ensures that wealth gained through corruption ultimately benefits those who are compassionate and just. Those who cover up their sins remain trapped in them, but those who confess and turn from wrongdoing find mercy. The fear of the Lord protects us from destructive choices, while stubbornness and rebellion lead to downfall. Wealth often breeds arrogance, but true wisdom is not dependent on status. When the righteous rule, the people rejoice, but when the wicked govern, the nation suffers. Corruption and injustice bring oppression, while leaders who act with integrity bring peace and prosperity. Disrespecting one's family and acting dishonestly toward parents is a grave mistake that leads to ruin. Seeking wealth through shortcuts leads to poverty. True provision comes through honest labor and diligent effort. A sincere correction brings growth, while flattery deceives and misleads. Following only one's emotions is dangerous, but walking in wisdom leads to security and salvation. Generosity attracts the blessing of God. Those who care for the poor will never lack, but those who turn a blind eye to the needs of others will face consequences. True confidence comes from a right relationship with God, while fear and guilt accompany those who walk in sin. Righteousness brings boldness, but sin breeds fear and insecurity. Wealth without integrity is meaningless, while honesty is of greater value. The fear of the Lord leads to happiness and protection. Wicked leaders bring suffering, but just rulers create joy. The pursuit of easy riches results in destruction, while correction is more valuable than empty praise. Generosity brings blessings, while indifference leads to loss. Are we living with courage and righteousness, or are we allowing fear and sin to control our lives? Are we pursuing wealth with integrity, or are we tempted by dangerous shortcuts? Do we fear the Lord and follow His wisdom, or are we relying only on our own understanding? Have we been generous to those in need, or have we ignored the suffering around us? Whoever conceals their sins will not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them will find mercy. Proverbs chapter 28 reminds us that justice, integrity, and the fear of the Lord lead to true prosperity and divine protection. How can we align our lives with God's wisdom and walk in righteousness every day? How to live with justice and wisdom. Proverbs chapter 29. The 29th chapter of Proverbs teaches the importance of discipline, justice, and humility. It warns about the dangers of stubbornness, corruption, and a lack of self-control, showing that the fear of the Lord and integrity are essential for a life of peace and success. Those who repeatedly reject correction will eventually face irreversible consequences. God gives many opportunities to change, but a hardened heart leads to ruin. A wise person learns from instruction, while fools ignore warnings and suffer for it. Those who fail to control their emotions make impulsive decisions, but wisdom teaches patience and restraint. When the righteous rule, the people rejoice, but under corrupt leadership, society suffers. A leader who governs with justice and mercy strengthens his authority and brings prosperity to the land. A nation is blessed when its rulers uphold righteousness, but oppression and dishonesty destroy societies. Lack of discipline leads to irresponsibility and destruction. Correction, when done with love and wisdom, prepares children for a successful future. Parents who instill values and discipline in their children raise adults who contribute positively to society. True peace and joy in a family come when children are trained in wisdom and respect. Flattery can be dangerous, as those who seek to manipulate others often set traps for them. The wicked and the righteous do not walk together, for their values are completely opposed. Corruption distorts justice and brings instability, but honesty must be the foundation of all decisions. Where there is no vision, people perish, but those who obey the law are blessed. Without direction and purpose, people make reckless decisions, but those who follow God's ways prosper. Fear of people's opinions can trap us, but trusting in the Lord brings true freedom and security. The wise remain silent when fools argue, because engaging in senseless debates is futile. Those who speak rashly without thinking bring trouble upon themselves. Wisdom teaches us to choose our words carefully, as reckless speech can cause great harm. Pride leads to conflict, while humility brings prosperity and favor from God. Those who reject correction will be broken, but those who accept wisdom will grow. Justice brings joy to a nation, while corruption causes suffering. Discipline is essential for personal and societal growth. Greed and dishonesty destroy justice and fairness. A lack of vision and purpose leads to failure, while wisdom and humility bring security and success. Are we humble enough to accept correction and grow in wisdom? Are we promoting justice or contributing to corruption? Is our life guided by a clear purpose aligned with God's principles? Are we practicing self-control and avoiding reckless words? Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Proverbs chapter 29 teaches that justice, discipline, and trust in God lead to true prosperity and security. How can we develop a life of wisdom and integrity in a world full of distractions and temptations? How humility and wisdom reflect a heart that knows God. Proverbs chapter 30. The 30th chapter of Proverbs presents the teachings of Agur, a wise man who acknowledges his dependence on God. His words emphasize the importance of humility, moderation, and reverence for the Lord, showing that true wisdom does not come from pride, but from recognizing God's greatness and human limitations. True wisdom begins with humility. Agur declares his lack of understanding, illustrating that those who believe they know everything close themselves off from learning. He asks profound questions about creation and the universe, demonstrating that no human being can fully comprehend God's greatness. The vastness of the heavens, the power over nature, and the foundation of the earth are all beyond human control. This reminds us that true wisdom comes from acknowledging God's supremacy. Every word of God is flawless, and He is a shield to those who take refuge in Him. His truth is a foundation that cannot be altered to fit human preferences. Those who attempt to twist His words for personal gain will ultimately be exposed. The purity and reliability of Scripture should lead us to trust in God's promises and live according to His principles. Agur makes a simple yet profound request: to be neither rich nor poor, but to be given his daily portion. He understands that wealth can lead to arrogance and self-reliance, causing one to forget God, while extreme poverty may lead to dishonesty and sin. This balanced perspective teaches that contentment is found in dependence on the Lord rather than in material abundance. True happiness lies in moderation and gratitude, not in endless pursuit of riches or escape from hardship. A generation that curses its parents and refuses to honor them reveals a heart filled with pride and rebellion. Those who see themselves as pure yet remain blind to their own flaws deceive themselves. Arrogance blinds people to the truth, but humility opens the door to wisdom. Pride leads to downfall, while reverence for God brings understanding and direction. Agur uses examples from nature to illustrate wisdom. The small creatures of the earth demonstrate incredible survival strategies that humans can learn from. Ants prepare for the future through diligence and foresight. Rock badgers seek security in solid foundations rather than their own strength. Locusts march in unity despite having no leader, proving the power of cooperation. Spiders, though small, find themselves in the palaces of kings, showing that persistence and adaptability lead to unexpected success. These creatures remind us that wisdom is not about size or power, but about preparation, strategy, and determination. Pride and arrogance must be controlled before they lead to destruction. If we exalt ourselves or plot evil, we should stop immediately before suffering the consequences. Just as milk churned produces butter and twisting the nose brings blood, stirring up anger results in conflict. Persistent strife only fuels more division. Wisdom teaches us to walk away from unnecessary battles and avoid escalating tension. True wisdom begins with humility and acknowledging God's greatness. His word is flawless and should not be distorted. Balance in life is crucial. Neither extreme wealth nor poverty should define us. Arrogance leads to destruction, while humility fosters growth. Even the smallest creatures teach us valuable lessons about diligence, preparation, and cooperation. Pride must be controlled before it leads to unnecessary conflicts. Are we recognizing our limitations and seeking God's wisdom? Are we content with what God provides, or do we constantly chase after more? Are we learning from the wisdom found in nature and applying it to our lives? Are we avoiding pride and unnecessary strife, choosing humility instead? Every word of God is flawless. He is a shield to those who take refuge in Him. This chapter teaches that humility, reverence for the Lord, and moderation are essential for a balanced and blessed life. How can we cultivate humility and dependence on God in a world that values pride and self-sufficiency. The true wisdom in life and character. Proverbs, chapter 31. The 31st chapter of the Book of Proverbs presents the teachings of King Lemuel, who received valuable instructions from his mother regarding leadership, character, and family. This passage highlights the importance of justice, moderation, and wisdom in relationships, culminating in the famous description of the virtuous woman, a model of strength, dignity, and reverence for the Lord. From the very beginning, it is clear that wisdom and instruction start at home. The influence of a wise mother can shape the character of a leader, proving that true leadership is built on a foundation of integrity and discipline. One of the most crucial warnings is the need for discernment in relationships. Poor personal choices can lead to downfall, and those who seek to govern with wisdom must maintain balance in every area of life. Moderation is essential. A leader should not be controlled by pleasures or vices, as indulgence clouds judgment and leads to injustice. Those in positions of authority must remain clear-headed, making decisions with discernment and fairness. But perhaps the most striking instruction is the call to defend those who cannot speak for themselves. True leadership is not about personal gain, but about upholding justice, protecting the vulnerable, and standing firm against corruption. King Lemuel's mother then paints the portrait of a virtuous woman whose worth far exceeds that of material riches. She is wise, diligent, and faithful. She brings security to her household, and her husband trusts in her, knowing that their life together is built on stability and prosperity. She seeks the well-being of her family, works with dedication, and ensures the sustenance of those who depend on her. She is enterprising and forward-thinking. She makes wise investments, manages her resources effectively, and builds a strong future. Her strength is not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual. She faces challenges with courage and determination. Her heart is marked by compassion and generosity. She extends her hands to the needy and cares for those who suffer. Her dignity and strength allow her to look to the future without fear, for her life is built on integrity. She is not only hardworking and generous, she is wise. Her words are full of kindness, offering guidance and encouragement to those around her. Her home is a place of discipline and order, ensuring stability and harmony. Her impact on those around her is undeniable. Her children recognize her as a blessing, and her husband praises her. The recognition of an upright life comes naturally. She does not seek applause, for her character speaks for itself. The passage concludes with a powerful truth. Outer beauty fades, but character remains. Many are preoccupied with appearance and the admiration of others, but true greatness comes from reverence for the Lord and wisdom applied in daily life. The lessons in this chapter are clear. Wisdom begins at home, and a mother's instruction can shape a leader. True leadership demands justice, moderation, and compassion for the needy. Strong relationships are built on trust and integrity. Diligence and wise management are essential for prosperity. Generosity and compassion reflect a heart filled with wisdom. The true value of a person is not in their appearance, but in their character and reverence for the Lord. Are we striving to be just and wise in our daily decisions? Are we living with diligence and managing well what God has entrusted to us? Do we focus more on outward appearance or on the strength of our character? Do we seek the Lord's wisdom to guide our actions? Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30. True excellence lies in wisdom, character, and reverence for the Lord. The Book of Proverbs has revealed the map to a life of wisdom, justice, and reverence for the Lord. Every word, every teaching echoes through time, challenging us to live with integrity, discernment, and humility. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. But now the great question is, What will we do with this wisdom? Will we be mere listeners, or will we apply these teachings in every decision, every choice, every step we take? The Book of Proverbs is not just a collection of inspiring phrases. It is a call to abandon foolishness, to live with purpose, and to walk in the path of light. True wisdom is not just about knowing, but about living it. If this study has impacted you, like, share, and comment. I choose wisdom. Let us spread this message and live a life guided by the light of God. Wisdom is calling. Are you listening?